شكله مش لابس الوان.
طالع اكثر من بطنه، بطنه هو طالع اكثر منها.
ممكن لانه شكله شاب حسن. او يمكن شاب حسن. او يمكن شاب حسن.
You ready?
Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you so much for your time.
البحث تبعنا صلى ياسر بصور ليش بدي اصور؟ ما عندي ليش صح
Testing. Hello. Okay. All right. So I guess I can get started. So welcome to BlockHack 2023. I'm glad to be here. BlockHack was where I first kind of entered the in-person blockchain and cryptocurrency space, and I'll never forget that hackathon last year at the TMU. But we're back again, and this time I'm sponsoring, or I'm kind of here on behalf of ClassicDAO, which is sponsoring this hackathon. So I kind of wanted to do this keynote today to, first of all, obviously kind of give everybody here an idea of what their sponsored prizes and bounties are like for ClassicDAO here at this hackathon, so that you know what we value in the submissions that we're going to be looking at, so that you can have the best chance of winning that $1,000 Canadian prize at the end of the hackathon. We're also going to talk a little bit about the ClassicDAO mission, a little bit about myself, a little bit about Soteria Smart Contracts, which is my company, and how it all kind of interplays with ClassicDAO and its goals of making Ethereum Classic back into the limelight of cryptocurrency once again. So I'm just going to start off a little bit by introducing ClassicDAO and what it is, why we're here, and the real kind of idea behind it and some of its history as well. So ClassicDAO, first of all, was created back in, I think, late 2021 or early 2022 by some guy called Garalo. And he's no longer with the company, but the rest of us are still here, and I'm currently doing a lot of the head running in terms of planification for the project, the protocol, and those items, as my company has been contracted to do that. So, as you can see, we have our logo here. Got some information about, a little bit of a slogan there. I'm willing to change that soon. If you have any ideas, let me know. So really, I want to highlight our three main goals, because I think every crypto project should just have this on their website, where it just says, here are the three things we want to improve. So, as you know, ClassicDAO is on Ethereum Classic, so that kind of makes us out of the norm a little bit in the sense of, we're not trying to go for the same goals that a lot of projects are. We're really just trying to bring the basics to Ethereum Classic, and also making Ethereum Classic known as a place where innovation can also be born, and not only Ethereum. So one of those things being fueling innovation. So we want to change the game for Ethereum Classic. We want to encourage innovation. Over the last 2 years, there has been some activity on Ethereum Classic, but the work and the projects have been limited in terms of scope, and their longevity has been limited as well, so only a few projects are sticking around. Next up is our universalized project funding point, which is we want to make it easy so that anybody who has an idea for an innovative, practical app on Ethereum Classic can simply come and create their own proposal to the DAO on their own to simply request funding, and they can have different kinds of funding structures through a new innovation that we have called eRose proposals that I'll talk about in just a minute. And the last thing is we want to set the standard. So we want to show that, first of all, Ethereum Classic is a place where new innovative projects can be born, such as this one and other ones that will hopefully come out of it. And we want to harness the extreme decentralization of Ethereum Classic that has been very important to the people who use it and the people who are building on Ethereum Classic for the last couple of years. And ever since the merge and the DAO hack, it has been even more important to those people. So that's why I'm here today. So we want to simply set the standard and show that DAOs do have a place in this world, and we want to kind of take the time to look at all the different ideas that revolve around DAOs and kind of work on them in a way that we can create better DAOs that serve a wider range of people. Don't want to go too much on that. Let's continue on. So I'm going to skip the timeline. You guys can feel free to check this out. One important thing here is the Winslow DAO protocol. So I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not going to go through these 3 points as we're going to go through the paper just very quickly. I just want to introduce my team, or not my team, but the ClassicDAO team, which is, we have Nicholas, who's the head of marketing. He lives in California. We have, Anthony, who is head of human resources, lives in California. Nicholas lives in New York. And then there's me down here, which is just me, head of development. I don't have an official role with the company, but I do have this role for the company as part of Ceteris Smart Contracts, which is the development firm for ClassicDAO. And these two here are my contractors who have been helping me extensively on this project. So yeah, let me just touch very quickly before we go on the bounty stuff on the Winslow DAO protocol that we're putting together. I don't want to go too long on this, just want to keep it quite simple just to show everyone, that Ethereum Classic is somewhere where new things are being born, new concepts are being kind of worked on. So we wanted to create essentially a DAO that is built to last longer and has much better longevity than existing DAOs, and that has proper incentive for voters to continue coming to vote for as long as possible, which is something we're going to continue to work on and iterate on. But so far, what we did in this paper here is we kind of looked at the problems that were existing with the original DAOs and current DAOs that exist in the world, and then we kind of broke it up into different sections, such as scalability, democracy, security, stability, and flexibility. So the scalability, we worked on a few things. One of those being the ERO standard, as you can see here, which is essentially it's a standard for new smart contracts that people can create to act as proposals on the main DAO contract, which means that people can submit very complex transactions in the form of a smart contract to the DAO and can very well describe what that transaction looks like. That way the DAO can save time on their voting process, because they can execute complex transactions in one go without having to do many actions all at once. So this kind of solves some of those problems. We also have proxy proposals, which is a similar type of solution that is kind of more tech-savvy thing. We don't need to touch on that very much. We also worked on some of the democracy aspects. Where we worked on some incentive for voting that comes directly from the proposer. So the proposer of a proposal actually puts up some ClassicDAO tokens to pay people to vote on their project, and it doesn't matter whether they vote yes or no on that project, they still get a reward. So that's part of that. And then obviously security was very important, so we're working on getting audited by two highly reputable teams. To make sure that we don't run into the same problem as the original DAO. Obviously, that would be very bad, and would be bad for Ethereum Classic especially. So yeah, that comes to the end of that. So all right, now I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're looking for when it comes to the prize that we have, that we're offering here at this hackathon, Block Hacker 2023. So if there's anyone here in this room right now that is interested in winning the ClassicDAO bounty, I would ask you to put your hand up just so I can see, what kind of interest there is. Okay, all right, very interesting. So, so for those who answered yes, and for those who answered yes and are going to explain these kind of concepts to their teammates soon, later at the hackathon, there's a few main things that I want to touch on when it comes to this bounty specifically. So one of the first things is that we want to value the practicality of the application. So we understand that this is a hackathon and we want people to really reach for their craziest ideas. But a crazy idea that has little to no practicality, unless you have a way to give it practicality, does not work long term. And we don't really want to encourage that. and we want to encourage thinking that promotes ideas, and where when you come up with all the concepts for that idea specifically, every one of them needs to be tailored for a long-term execution of that idea. So it would be important, if you're trying to go for the ClassicDAO bounty, to work on something practical that might have some utility in the future, even if it does not necessarily have any market share today. But that still ranges to quite a wide variety of products. So if you want to come and check with me, if I think that that's one of those, if your project counts within that, you can come and check with me. No problem. Feel free to do so. The second thing that we want to emphasize is that we do want very innovative ideas. We want solutions to problems. We want you to really identify a problem that Ethereum Classic can solve that other blockchains may not be able to solve. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that it needs to be a completely brand new idea. You can have an existing idea that has certain varying, but you have to highlight those innovations within that idea. Just similarly how we did with the ClassicDAO Winslow DAO protocol, which is the DAO idea, the idea of a DAO that is implemented with new ideas to make it more longevitable. So that's one of the important things. So we want to encourage, once again, I'll go over it again, the practicality of your application. Does it work in the long term for everyday people? At least in the end, is that the goal? And the second thing is, we want your innovative ideas. We want you to come up with ideas that solve problems that we see every day. So those are the main two important things. We really wanted to leave it open. We want to see what people have to bring to Ethereum Classic, what they think is necessary. I highly recommend that you do some research about Ethereum Classic so that you understand some of the different problems that Ethereum Classic itself has. And if you solve one of those problems, then you have even greater chance of winning this prize. So yeah, if there's anyone here who has questions specifically about the prize, now would be the time. And then I just want to hop into a bit of a discussion, if anyone is interested, about certain concepts regarding Ethereum Classic and other things like that. But yeah, any questions? You had your hand up for a second.
What are any token bridges onto Ethereum and from Ethereum Classic?
Okay, so you said any token bridges. There used to be multi-chain, and then you saw what happened with multi-chain. I think that's all that needs to be said.
Rip that?
Yeah, rest in peace multi-chain. It was a good platform that we built lots of stuff on, and it's all dead now because of that. Any more questions? No? Okay. And is anyone interested in just talking a little bit, just sharing their ideas and their opinions on Ethereum Classic, the whole kind of debate between certain things? Anyone? What were you pointing at?
Well, I don't know. These guys probably have opinions.
This guy? Which guy?
Do you have any opinions about Ethereum Classic?
Are you strongly opinionated by anything?
No, I'm not. I'm just, I am, how's the community? How big in terms of, developers, in terms of, the participants, and what are some kind of, points of momentum and differentiation that you might point out versus the Ethereum mainnet?
Okay. Well, there are certainly a lot of individuals who are enthusiastic about the future of Ethereum Classic. We can see that on Twitter. We can see there's a lot of activity. There was also a lot of activity during a bit of an NFT run that it had last year. So there are obviously still some interest in Ethereum Classic. People, I think, are just failing to see, how is it going to go? But that's kind of some of the goals of ClassicDAO, is to kind of define what Ethereum Classic will be in the future, and just like those pioneers of Ethereum Classic, those who were there back in 2016, we want to make sure that the values that they held after the DAO fork are continued on through ClassicDAO. We want to make it so that in the future, if there were other entities that were to come and kind of take this place, they could be taking advantage of the fact that Ethereum Classic has some pretty vulnerable, gullible people on it who will kind of invest in a little bit of everything that they find on it just in the case that in the future it might explode. So we want to just make it easy for people to identify and make it easy for them to contribute as well to the valuable proposals and valuable projects that there are in Ethereum Classic. We want people to benefit, and we want projects to benefit if they serve a utility, and that way we can weed out the bad projects from the good projects, kind of almost intrinsically to the way the DAO works. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I answered your question. I probably went way off, but it's okay.
I have another question though.
Yeah.
What are in terms of regular DeFi kind of primitives that we might expect, like an Aave or like a Uniswap? What are the equivalent names that we would find on Ethereum Classic?
Okay, so you're asking about equivalent names for things like swaps and things. So that's a great question. So we have quite a few. So there is one, I think the biggest one right now would be Uniswap. They have quite a suite of products, including just like a Uniswap v2 clone. They have their own ENS system. They have quite a bit of things. You can check that out. It's just Swap. It should show up on Google. There's ClassicDAO. There's a bunch of tokens. There's one called ETC POW, which is they're actually selling miners, and they're doing a really good job. Their token is doing very well. So we're actually surprised because there was a grants DAO or a grants program that was run by a DAO that can be debated, that was run by Bob Somerville from the ETC Co-op. I'm not sure if it was the ETC Co-op or if it was him, and Bitmain, who gave 10 million to kind of build projects on Ethereum Classic through a grants program. And so ClassicDAO was lucky enough to get a grant for, I think it was $46,000 US, of which we've received half, and we have used that to kind of build the project to where we are now. And then we are currently in kind of the testing phase for our protocol, and there goes my computer. So yeah, we're in the testing phase for the protocol, and then we're hoping to launch it sort of early to mid-November. That kind of date has moved around, so I wouldn't pinpoint it then exactly, but it is certainly definitely in the works, and we are hoping to get it audited by 2 firms before we launch it, to be 100% sure. Not 100, you can't never be 100% sure, but the more due diligence we do, the more security we can confirm for this platform, and that's what we want to do, so that people don't feel like they're coming into the same DAO that existed in 2016 that ended up getting drained just a few weeks after its launch. So we're kind of restarting from zero, like as if Ethereum had kind of not had anything happen, and then the DAO happened, but the DAO, had continued and had no problem. Well, we're kind of restarting that history now, where we have this DAO, and we also, but it's not just the same DAO, because now we've had those years of experience to know what are the things that work in a DAO, what are the things that don't work in a DAO. We've implemented those, and we want to use that to the best of our advantage to build more apps on ETC. And what those apps look like, we don't know. I have always a few ideas of what I would like to build, and if ClassicDAO, anybody can submit proposals, and I will not personally. So what's going to be happening is once ClassicDAO is launched, me and the rest of the ClassicDAO team right now will simply become the ClassicDAO Foundation. And none of the team members nobody is getting any tokens from the project. So it's completely no involvement. The only way for us to get tokens is to buy them through the public sales that everybody has access to. So it's really, we want to make, we want to have a very fair project that is very rare nowadays, to have projects that are launched in the same way that Bitcoin, for example, was launched, where anyone could just go, and the only way to get your pre-mine was to mine those. So now the only way to get ClassicDAO tokens is to participate in every 3 months there's a sale. It's run directly by the DAO. We have no involvement. It just puts it up. It just makes it possible for you to go and deposit, and later on you can withdraw. But yeah. So otherwise, other than that, there's more documentation on the website if you want to learn more about ClassicDAO. We will have more opportunities over the coming months at Bitcoin Bay and at other events to kind of go more in depth about ClassicDAO, and we would obviously like to run our own events at some point where we can really talk extensively about it. But I will be honest, there is a lot more thinking that needs to go into ClassicDAO before it reaches where I envision it to go, and the rest of my team envisions it to go. So yeah, if there's any questions, now would be the time. I think we already asked for questions, so if that's it, thanks everyone for coming to BlockHack, and good luck everyone if you're trying to get a sponsored prize. Good evening everyone, bye-bye.
All right, I have a quick thing. Is anyone